Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie V, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Stephen Ford, and Mike Haspil. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog. Great to be here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Bikes.
week two of
Yeah, they haven't come out yet.
I have watched every Tom Segura YouTube clip there is.
Yo, I'll be honest. Immediately after the webcast last week, and I turned it off, and I was waiting for it to populate so we could download it and turn it into the podcast. In the suggested videos over on the right was immediately Tom Segura videos.
Awesome.
Yo, big
That's
brother's watching.
Dude,
Yo.
of course. And also, I'll tell you, every GIF I got over the weekend at LVO, like when I was posting all my games, people kept posting Tom Segura GIFs of bikes. I was like, word.
Yeah.
I even watched the prison episode too, the actual Scared Straight.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane. He doesn't play it down. Like it's actually crazy
worse.
as he describes
It's
it.
actually worse than he described. Like, because it's funny when he's doing it, but when you're watching it, it's not funny.
No,
it is brutal.
It's concerning. It is legitimate. And the visceral detail that they go into explaining what each term means.
Yeah.
Yep.
Savage.
When he's like to this kid, he's like, "Hold my pocket," and he literally makes this poor little shitty Super Bowl wearing 1993 kid like just walk around as he's like laying into these other kids, like just holding his outturned pocket. You're like, this is
it's not okay. Oh man,
so good. Well, I think we got a lot to talk about tonight. Obviously, we're going to touch on LVO stuff for sure. A lot happened there. A lot of good, a lot of bad. We'll talk about it.
Oh yeah,
lots to be said for sure. Lots of news, lots of new stuff coming out. We got T-Suns this week. We'll try to briefly, I guess, touch on that as much as
nobody wants to hear about chaos. Nobody cares.
Hey, did you hear they updated Grey Knights?
They did not. Well, they did. They call them custodes now.
But
Yo, Haspil, I was thinking of you earlier, middle Monday, somewhere-ish. I was like, you know what? Are the custodes literally what we talked up Grey Knights, like 2 wound Terminators back in 5th edition when they dropped? They're so badass. You only need a squad of them. You know, oh my God. And now all of a sudden we've got like real badass motherfuckers.
Yeah. 5th edition Grey Knights. And it's gold, I feel, will pair well with silver. So
yeah, the Grey Knight, Grandmaster Carrier.
Yep.
No, I think there's a lot of good combinations, and we've obviously been talking about pairing them with guard, whether depending on the points, brigade or battalion and such. But there's a lot of folks out there.
Everything pairs with guard. Anything that you have, if you can squeeze even one guard attachment there just to get relic of I get stratagem, I get command points back when you play stratagems.
And I hate chaos.
Like, it's just that of all the relics in the game, that's the saltiest one. That's the one that is the most like annoying.
Mm-hmm. Well, the T-Sun's got one of those now too, which is kind of sweet. So there's
I'm about to unlock a T-Sun battalion. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. It seems easy to do. There's some strong stuff in there, but I would say it is vastly pales in comparison to the bad stuff, unfortunately, or I guess the average and the now average when it was previously good. But not new releases from last week, of course. I'm sure everybody's seen the preview. The new knight, what was there? Curious, what was that name? I forgot his name already.
Chicken Walker Knight.
Amateur Warglaves.
I love that. I love that meme, Robbie B. When this is how baby knights are made.
As soon as I saw the legs, I was like, "Those are Dune Strider legs, or the Iron Strider, whatever they are, the walkers."
Yeah, Dune Striders. You're right.
Yeah, Dune Striders. I was like, "What the heck?" But the Cryptek looks pretty fresh too. So on the new release side of things, we definitely know that there's 3 Xenos books on the way. We know there's going to be a Knights, so that's 4 out of the 11 that factions that they acknowledged existence of for the chapter approved book, and they said everything's going to be out by the end of the year. So that's awesome.
They did. Yeah,
by the end, just to reiterate, that is the end of their physical year versus year.
No, I doubt that. I think they meant end of physical year, not their fiscal year, because there's no way
calendar year.
Yeah, I think calendar year. My gut feeling says that, and this is the glutens, so take it for what it's worth, is that we'll see
Nothing.
Yeah, it's absolutely nothing. We'll see the Night book, April. So Games Workshop has really positioned themselves well with the ability to push out all sorts of different releases, like it was the early 2000s again, where you've got Blood Bowl, you've got Necromunda, now you've got Shadespire, now you got Shadespire Organized Play, now now you've got AOS, Malign Portents, the normal stuff, and of course Warhammer 40K, which is the heavy hitters. But we know there's a new faction, Age of Sigmar, on the way with the Blood Brides. Those look fantastic minis too. So a lot of stuff on the horizon for Warhammer, and a lot of organized play. So I can't wait. I think they've definitely done a good job, and we know now. I don't know if you're keeping track of it, but Monday, FFG put out their press release that Star Wars Legion will release on March 22nd, which is the same weekend as Adepticon. Nice. So
do you guys honestly believe that the remaining, how many books do we have left?
11. Well, no, so 7. We know there's 4.
Yeah, and I feel like when they were saying that all the books are going to come out, we know they didn't mean Sisters of Battle. So
that is one of the factions pictured in the list of chapter approved that said they would be getting rules, or they'll
be getting rules, I'm sure, and it'll be in a chapter approved or something. It won't be a codex. I'll be very shocked if they get a book.
Well, let's all just pray. But I just don't know, man. I was thinking that, when is their fiscal year done with?
June 1st is the start of their new fiscal year.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't see how they draw out not dropping these books on this super tight. Literally, we got, Thousand Suns this week, Custodies last week, Blood Angels. I mean, this rapid release schedule just to die it off, to introduce all these other games. I feel like they have to, right? They have to stay on this rapid 40K until every book has a codex, right?
But unlike last year, where, remember, with the release of the General's Handbook, we really didn't see many other releases besides in November, also with Necromunda and a few sporadic Blood Bowl things. It was pretty much the 40K show for the first 6 months of the year. They can't do that again, because they've already said there's going to be a Necromunda release once each quarter. They said that for Blood Bowl. Now we know there's a new Age of Sigmar faction coming out as well. We know there's Age of Sigmar next week and a global campaign next week. So I don't know how that's going to all fit in there. And remember too, they almost have a content air quotes gap when they go out of town. So they were basically doing all this stuff from LVO. They were still working, like what I do, when I go to events.
Yeah, those guys were jobbing. They were earning their dollars for sure.
Yeah, that's money. But I do not think they can do everything by summer. I think we'll see all 11 books, just like they said, but it'll be by December.
That makes more sense. I agree.
Wow, I don't know. I just, by December, we're still aren't they supposed to have the second? When is didn't they say after Nova that the second, the next FAQ? Well, whatever poor bastard soul's army isn't going to get a book till, November, when everybody else is running out of a codex and he's still got his Buster. He or she still got their Buster index. I feel sorry for you. Yeah,
no, that's the nature of the beast. 40K has never been balanced, never ever in the history of ever. And in a lot of cases, somebody would get their codex, and then a couple of months later, boom, new edition.
Yeah,
that happened a lot. So, I kind of feel bad for those people, but it's not unprecedented, unfortunately. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's all business at that point. But going forward, and I think this is one of the reasons to keep your eyes on Malign Importance. Malign Importance is a 6-week kind of choose your own adventure type league for global online campaign for Age of Sigmar. Keep an eye on this one because there's a lot of stuff that could be happening in this that is the test bed for what we might see in the future for 40K. And remember too, when they run out of Codex books, we're probably not getting a new edition, air quotes, of Warhammer 40K. They're just going to start tweaking it with their chapter proofs. They're going to start putting out, like expansions, like we saw, like the box sets that come with, you'll get reprints of a lot of sprues, but then you'll get one new figure on each side, and then they have rules. You know what I mean? So stuff like that, I would definitely expect to see in the near future there. You guys want to break down the new, might as well go into the new releases for next week, I suppose, for Games Workshop.
Sure.
All right. So
I don't believe you.
That's fine. Fact. The new releases that will be going up for pre-order on Saturday will be the majority of Malign Important stuff. I don't know if you've seen all the previews. There's 4 heralds of the Malign Importance Apocalypse, basically one for each Grand Alliance. So you got Destruction, you got Death, you've got Chaos, and of course Order. So there'll be a model for each of that, $35 each of those. There's a new combat gauge, dice, cards, the Malign Importance rule book itself, which is $25. The cards are, 15, dice are 20, just like they normally are. Then we've got, do you guys remember that big terrain piece that everybody always remembers, but nobody ever bought? It's like a crazy telescope on top of a mountain that like leads down the stairway.
Yeah. It looks like 5 random pieces of terrain stacked together.
Yeah. And then there's like a dock at the bottom.
Yep.
It's like random dock. Okay, cool. Everybody always knows that piece of terrain and loves it. They're like, oh man, that thing was so cool. But I don't know anybody that bought that thing. I've never even seen it.
It doesn't exist. I'm Googling it right now.
But man, so they're re-releasing that next week. It's $110 for this. But like you said, it's basically a bunch of kits put together. You know what I mean? So that's kind of cool. Battle Tome, Legions in the Gash, and the War Scroll cards. So the Battle Tome is 40, the cards are 25. And there is a global campaign pack. No idea what it is, but apparently stores can order it to help, with the whole thing. And then we know too, kick it over to Haspil, there's Shadespire. Play coming up.
So they finally confirmed the next two factions, which we knew they were coming. We just didn't know when. And it's going to be Duardin, the Fire Slayers or Chosen Shields, and then the Skaven, Spike Claws Swarm. It's going to be pretty kick-ass. They're coming down February 17th, along with the launch of Organized Play Pack for Shadespire, which is going to be awesome. Oh, I apologize. That was stupid email from my phone. But yeah, it's really exciting. They also released right as the LVO was starting. Their card library went live on the Warhammer Underworld site, so you can go in there. All the cards so far are there. Obviously, the ones for Skaven and the Duardin are not there yet. But it's just fantastic that I'm really looking forward to it because we just played. I played 2 tournaments at the LVO, and the entire meta is going to shift in 17 days. It is going to change entirely because it looks like those expansions have almost 60. I think they have 60 cards that are universal that every faction can use. So that's going to change all kinds of stuff. The Duardin now have, different ways of getting inspired. The Skaven work differently than anybody else right now as well. So that just breathes more life into the game.
Haspil, I got to throw down the gauntlet for the rematch once I get these Skaven.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Absolutely.
shit, that's your jam, Skaven.
That's my peoples.
Gutter runners.
Yep.
Get some gutter runners. That was my Blood Bowl team was Skaven.
I really like the look. You'll like these if you haven't seen them yet, Juice, because they definitely harken back to the style of the old Mordheim minis, but of course, updated in dope ass plastics.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they look really, really good. The dwarves, I don't know. I like them, but I kind of don't like them. I've been calling them stripper dwarves because they're mostly naked.
Yep, that's been the new jam. I did a bunch of dwarves earlier last year, and I was like, you guys are just not wearing clothes. You're like me in the Beat Slab painting.
But you're balls out in battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
they got like chainmail kilt, but only in the front covering their dick.
Yeah. So it's like I need to do them in like, painted woad or something. I feel like that would be appropriate.
So you said how many new cards are coming out for Shadespire?
I think it's gonna be 60.
60 new cards for everyone to use.
And I could be wrong about that number, but that sounds about right to me.
Man, that's game changing.
But yeah, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. We also had a couple other things that I wanted to talk about that we saw at like LVO. Hammerhead Games had these awesome like carrying trays that they sold out of them at LVO. They brought 1 billion of them, like 500 million of them. We're selling them for like 20 or 25 bucks. Sold out of all these. These were these trays made out of MDF that you can assemble and disassemble. So you don't have to like glue these things together, and you can pack them away. So that was really, really cool. And then there's other stuff that's coming out that we have to talk about. Fan Kicks, the guys who make the 40K shoes that have the zipper where you can remove the tops and everything. They're super comfortable shoes. They're actually having a giveaway right now to promote the Custodes. They have new shoes for the Custodes, so go peep those out if you guys like some custom kicks. And then, it used to be if you wanted to go to like a Warhammer eating establishment, you had to go to Nottingham. But that is about to change. GW announced today that they are releasing this thing called the Warhammer Cafe. And the rumor is it's going to be in Dallas. But that's actually pretty cool, that you're going to be able to go down there and it'll be kind of a Warhammer world for North America.
Yeah, so that was going to be my question. Is it just a single? Like this isn't going to be a state by state basis, a region. We're just talking about the Warhammer Cafe is a single entity in itself.
Yeah, it's a single destination. That's what I feel. Based on what I read, that's what I think it is. It's going to be a single destination.
Oh my God. I can't wait for the people from Nottingham who has the Bugman Burger Challenge, and then they meet Texas. Where everything is bigger in Texas.
They'll be like, yeah. You know what us fat Americans call your burger challenge?
Yeah.
Lunch.
The McDouble.
Yeah.
Fucking.
But yeah, it sounds like it's just going to be one location. So, but they said it was going to have gaming tables and everything there. So it sounds like they're trying to recreate the atmosphere of Bugman's and the play area right outside Bugman's with the paint bar and everything. If you have been to Warhammer World, you know what I'm talking about.
It makes me happy to hear.
Yeah,
yeah. I love this idea. Is there any thought of, are they selling Forge World there?
I don't know. They did talk about some kind of like exclusive models and pins and stuff like that, like they sell at Warhammer World. So
pins, sweet models. You mean like captains with stormbolters and shit? Yeah, I'll buy that.
Yeah. So,
I speak sarcasm.
I want you to know, Stormbolter has a whole new meaning in Age.
It's true. Yeah, it used to be like, why is every special limited edition character you make a guy with a Stormbolter and a fucking power sword?
Yeah, stupidest model ever. Now you're like, oh my God, I get 8 shots of that Stormbolter.
Yeah, turns out kind of good.
Good, not the worst. But you, Haspil, you were talking about LVO a second ago. What is that?
Yes. Yeah, so the Las Vegas Open happened this last weekend, for those of you guys who don't know. And it was a blast. It was a ton of fun. I played, and this is, I want to say it's not a reflection on 40K, but it kind of is. I had the best LVO as far as the LVO event, not all the stuff, all the peripheral activities that go on with the LVO. I had the actual best LVO I've ever had as far as the most fun because I played Shadespire all weekend. I played in the Grand Clash on Friday, and then I played in the Shadespire Skirmish on Sunday. And what was awesome was the guys who were the judges for Shadespire were the guys who actually made the game. So there was no joke. There was rules clarifications were perfect because it's the guys who wrote it.
Yeah. Well,
right there.
What was the rules intended?
They just told
tell you right now.
I'll tell you. So that was awesome. I went 2-2 on Friday, and my 2 losses came down to tiebreakers. On Sunday, I got shellacked. I actually had the worst Shadespire game I had ever played, where my orcs just could not make anything happen. I would have the perfect card combos, have everything lined up, go, okay, I'm going to roll. All I need to do is roll a hammer or a crit, and this game's won. And it's like nothing. And then I'm like, okay, well, I have this other card that'll let me do that again. You know what I mean? And then nothing. And it was really frustrating. The second game I played, I essentially did the same thing to my opponent. He could not get anything to work. I got all my combos off, and it was just a massacre. And then in my third game, it came down to a tiebreaker. We were within, and we were playing best 2 out of 3 format. And the first 2 games, we came within like 1 glory of one another. So it was just absolutely great. All the games seemed really close. People weren't getting blown out too much, except in the finals where it was the strategy was basically like, don't roll a non-crit. The guy rolled a ton of crits. And what you do when your opponent does that, there's not much you can do. You can just go, well, it's like Kenny always says, roll a bunch of 6s. That's his strategy. It's like, okay, well, there's not much you can do. But I had an absolute blast, and I'm looking forward to Shadespire again at Adepticon. So I cannot wait.
Haspil, I got a quick question. What's the difference between the grand battle and the skirmish or whatever you're talking about here?
The Grand Clash had a better prize support. It seemed like a more formal event. It was 4 rounds with best of 3. Each round was best of 3, an hour and a half rounds. And it had like the formal Shadespire trophy. They gave out an award for best painted. They had all kinds of swag for everybody that finished. If you were in the top 16, you got a set of swag. If you're in the top 32, you got another set of swag. So they had a lot of stuff to give out and everything. That was like the formal event. The skirmish that they had on Sunday seemed like it was just like, hey, we have time, let's run another Shadespire event. It wasn't as formal. It was only 3 rounds, still best of 3, still an hour and a half, but there was like no big old super trophy, and I don't think they gave an award for best painted, but they still came armed with swag. I think the top 16, everybody got like signed artwork. It was absolutely insane. Like they had a lot of stuff to give away and make sure everybody walked away with something. Whether it was alternate art cards or buttons or acrylic tokens or something. That GW came like it was like Christmas. They were just like, hey, here you go.
That's awesome. How many people showed up for the Saturday versus Sunday event?
Well, the Friday event,
or Friday,
I want to say we were in the mid 40s, I want to say. And then Sunday, I want to say it was about the same numbers.
What a solid mid 40s. Dude,
I think so, yeah.
Age of Sigmar couldn't get 40 people at its first event. Unbelievable.
I think we got to learn this game.
Yeah, I would really recommend it. And part of the things was if you were in
fun.
the high roller package, you got a copy of Shadespire.
Nice.
So there were a lot of people who just got it.
They're actually hard to find right now. Like they were scooped up. That first run scooped up.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta get it started and get the Skaven for juice. Teach me how to play juice.
Yeah,
I got you.
It was amazing.
I want you to know I've been taught by the ancient Chinese tacticianer Mike Haspil.
the legendary Mike Haspil.
Yep.
He will train you right because he'll show you to play the game, but not give you any good cards.
Oh.
I saw that live.
Truth. I was like, Haspil, how have you played 13 cards? And I've already said pass twice in my turn.
Well, that's what you get when I build my other decks out of what's left over.
Get good, scrub.
That's right. You just take this. You sit over there, boy. You take it.
Yeah. So it was solid. LVO, it was, the biggest singles event in Warhammer 40K history. I think last year was the biggest single event in 40K history. So they're trending.
Mm-hmm.
Like 500 people, 6 rounds, undefeated people going into the final 8, the top 8. And it was this is only my second year, and I'll have to say something similar to Haspil's. Like, it was my best experience at LVO too.
Yeah, this was a solid LVO. And before I forget, we got to hang out with the folks from Shapeways and Matt and Pop, Pop Goes the Monkey. And we met so many people.
Oh,
Bruce.
Yeah. Dr. Bruce.
Yeah, all kinds of folks. So it was really, really cool. Joe. I got to sign some books for folks and everything. It was an absolute blast.
It was. We had a lot of fun at the pub crawl. I got to play, I got to we met up with the mini wargaming guys, tabletop minion guys. Yeah. Wargamer girl, all these YouTubers and podcasters and stuff. We had it was a good time, and so I played 6 games, and I'm gonna actually load up the Best Coast Pairings app right here and give everyone a rundown about Shook Out. But everyone, if you're following my games on Facebook, I did really well. I went 5-1. I lost 1 game to someone named Jeff Poole, who played Eldar, Eldar. Beat me. He went on to the top 8. Placed 25th overall. Well, I was very pleased with that record. But I'd say the best thing was that I played 6 games against 6 different armies. I can't remember the last time that has ever happened. And
yeah,
we talked about the biggest, most competitive 40K event there is.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we talked about it on the show. It's like, that is unreal to hear that, homie. Like, even like, you got a bunch of people, fine, but like literally people bring the good list, they bring the good armies. And so you're like, you get an oddball person turn 1. Okay, cool. Maybe even turn or game 2, maybe. Okay, but you push back all that now. But now you're still like Harlequins, Dark Eldar, maybe all this. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, and it did scale. Like, I played Eldar and Demons and, toward the end, and then Chaos, but my 6th game was still Imperium, it was Castle Robots and Imperial Guard and Blood Angels. So like, that's some interesting stuff still. And, going into the end. So it was really interesting. And I'd say one of the highlights of the weekend was playing Dave Quirk from Mini Wargaming, one of their content creators on the 40K side, doing the battle reports. Cool guy with a mohawk. I think he's known for rolling 1s on their show. We got to play with him and Frontline Gaming. My man Pablo. Facebook lived about 2 turns of the game. So if you go on Frontline Games website, you can definitely catch a few rounds of that game. Spoiler alert, it was a beatdown. My man Dave Quirk was hilarious though. We played against he had Harlequin. He didn't go first. We played against Dark Eldar with 1 billion lances and Duders and Raiders and the Forge World, the big Forge World sailboat. Do you know what that thing's called, Juice?
I don't. You actually were.
I think it's the Achilles.
Yep. Sorry about that. My mic was going in now, but no, yeah. You were telling me about this. Like, I wish I would have been on the table to see it. Like, we would never have seen anything Dark Eldar super heavy in 6th, 7th edition. Unbelievable.
No, it was crazy. I had like 12 Darkland shots, 12 ghetto Darkland shots, but it was, playing them against that, playing them against, like a Gorgon High Fleet, with 1 billion MSU warrior units and 3 Flyrants and like 2 Trigons and all this crazy shit.
Cool.
Just weird lists, just like off the wall lists, a lot of deep striking and shit. Just interesting stuff, man. The whole weekend was pretty good. I was able to work the format pretty well. The decimators came through. They came in clutch. But it's something we talk about all the time is you got to work that format, right? Like they're going to work a lot better in the ITC format than they're going to work at Adepticon.
Mm-hmm.
These poor decimators there is no reason not to target them at Adepticon because Adepticon's running that every mission is hold progressive objectives and kill points with secondaries, and the kill points are you get a point for every 100 points rounding to the nearest 100 of a unit. So in this format, a decimator is worth he's 210 points, which means he's 2 points. Cultists are 160 points, which means they're 2 points. So at Adepticon, I feel like decimators are not going to be as effective because you just are not rewarded for dealing with them at LVO.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if the cultists are in your face. Like if I have to kill 40 bodies to give me 2 points, or I just have to do 8 wounds to a toughness 7 thing, got it. 8 wounds it is.
So I'll be back. I might be back to the drawing board a little bit, but I might be overthinking it. I'm not sure, but overall pretty good.
Have we talked about your whole list on
oh,
here?
You know what? Maybe we not?
I don't think we have.
Have we not broken down? All right. Mm-hmm. So the list is double battalion, so I have 9 command points. Battalion 1, demons. I have a Herald of Tzeentch and a Herald of Slaanesh. They're my warlord and my warlord trait, my relic are there. So I have the relic, the Forbidden Gem, which is an amazing new relic we've talked about. It is the relic of in your enemy's phase. You pick the phase 12 inches away. If he's a character, you roll 3 dice. If you beat his leadership, that motherfucker can't do shit. So it's a very powerful relic. It keeps me from getting charged by Mortarion and Magnus. Pair that with a psychic power called Phantasmagoria, -1 leadership bubble. So it's really easy to get this gem off to protect you. My Tzeentch Herald he has the warlord trait of +1 to the first psychic power, and he mainly is just casting the new boon of sorcery or whatever it's fucking called, or weaver, or gazer of fate. I don't fucking know. One of those things. It's the get a free reroll. And that's it. That's all my psychic powers. And then I just have 30 Brimstone's Horrors just to have 3 command points. Even though Brimstones suck. But they give me a battalion. And then we have Alpha Legion Battalion. We have 2 Lords with jump axe, straight busters with chain swords. We have 3 squads of cultists, 40 man each. So that's 120 Alpha Legion cultists. We have a unit of Slaanesh Obliterators. And then 4 Chaos Decimators. Because in a battalion, you can take that many elites. And I have 60 points in reinforcement points, which is the exact number of points for 20 more Brimstone Horrors. Which Juice got to see me when we played around at the Long War Doubles. You got to see how cool that was.
Yeah, I mean, just having so many bodies. Literally, it's like when I went to Nova and did very well. It's just having 100+ bodies on the table. It's a warm blanket. It keeps you safe at night. It keeps the bad guys away if that's what you need them to do.
Yep. No, and there's lots of little cool movements. Best part is that the 120 Alpha Legion cultists are going to use 3 command points and 4 to operate. So they're going to be somewhere in your grill. Even if you also have infiltrators or you're trying to block me, they're going to be somewhere that you didn't want them to be. So I've never had a situation, and I don't have Nurglings in this list, but my more optimized list has Nurglings to block your Rangers. So then I can thus create a pocket for my cultists, but it's never been an issue yet. They're fine. Forward operating is amazing. So you start the game with 120 cultists, 9 inches away from you. Even if I don't go first, I don't care. One of them is a 40-man screen for the other 2, and they're set up to do rapid firing. You're going to kill 1 unit. But what happens a lot of times is like people get that unit down to 1 model, because if I can hide 1 model or 2, but still put them in your face, and then you don't see what's happening. You're like, I'm shooting. And you get down to a situation where like, now you can't see the last 3 guys. Guess what happens next?
All of them come back.
I'm going to pay 4 command points to pass my morale check, and then 2, and then the other 2 of that 4 will be to 2 Tidal Traders. I did that several games where they actually did not kill the unit.
Wow.
And they were like, fuck. And then they come back to life once. And I mean, so it worked out really well. The Decimators put out a lot of mortal wounds combined with the Deep Strike and Obliterators, which are lethal. They're the MVPs every fucking game. People hate them. They show up.
Dude, I saw them multiple times put in work against guys at the our doubles event. So I mean, dude, just that pocket. You got all the re-rolls, your major combo. I mean, dude, I was using your obliterators against Lance and them, and wow. I mean,
there's some situations where they're not that great, but they're always going to kill what they shoot at 9 times out of 10. So because they're going to shoot twice. That's the whole play, right? It's the Marcus Slanesh. They're gonna use endless cacophony. So that's why there's one unit with a Lord shows up in the cut where you don't think something's coming. Then you activate, you randomize these rolls. You have a sorcery reroll for the first line of rolls. You get that damage up, fuck them up. Then when you reactivate, you can use your command point to reroll the damage, fuck them up. I mean, if they've got smaller, squishier units like the Dark Eldar or pretty much any tank that doesn't have an invulnerable or feel no pain, you're killing 2 tanks with the obliterators. And so that's such a brutal unit. But then obviously the decimators left unchecked, which happens a lot when you have that much stuff in your grill. Anytime I go first, it's a problem for my opponent. Because 120 cultists, obliterators. And if we're playing anything but Hammer and Anvil, unless you're really, even in Hammer and Anvil, you have to be hiding on the board edge because even though the Soul Burner is only 24 inches, they move 10 inches. So it's 34 inches. And it's assault weapon. So you're going to get hit with 30 mortal wounds on turn 1, plus obliterators, plus shot 240 times, plus charged by 120 models. So it's pretty good. I didn't have any real slow issues with my games. I either won the game so hard that we were working out a concede in turn 3, or we went all the way to turn 6.
Oh, that's cool.
But that's because I'm a very proactive individual. I get my opponent engaged. There's a way of doing that the right way and a way of doing it the wrong way. I tell my opponent, hey man, I got a lot of models. Really appreciate it. Sometimes they're going to be on your side of the table. If you can just help me out with some measurements, maybe moving them in bunches and figuring out dice for me, I'll start counting dice in one hand. I already know it's going to be at least 40 shots. So I'll just start rolling the initial 40 and then you tell me what the rapid fire is and I'll roll that many more. I'll be counting misses right now while you're telling me how many more I have to throw, like that kind of stuff. So, and then when my opponent would, kill my models, I would put them aside for morale purposes. And then when it was, then when he went on to the next phase, then I would start, clearing them. So I would never be doing anything that didn't matter for the game in my turn. And
clock and game management is as big a deal now as it's ever been.
Yep. And because of all those little micro savings of time, I mean, in the last game versus my man Reggie, we had over 250 models on the table between the two of us. And we got 6 turns, and they were like, guys, you got 15 minutes left when we had just inputted our scores. 6 turns. And we both have a lot of shots. So it can be done. But it's an exhausting 2.5 hours to do it that way.
Yeah, just imagine, homie, if you had all that and you do all those orders like you do and our command points, stratagems, and you're shooting, and then you've got a billion mortars to shoot, and then you've got, believe me, I actually told myself the hell with playing a list like this again when you got to bang down 6 to 10 games in a weekend.
Mm-hmm. I actually came up with a new thing. It's
backbreaking.
I came up with a new thing. I don't know how new it is though, but my new thing is I want to see rerolls removed from the game, except with the exception of reroll 1s. I want reroll 1s to stay. And I want everything that we look at as a reroll bubble to be a +1 hit or a +1 to wound bubble. Because we already exist on a modifier game now for the first time in a long time. We have this is -1 to hit, +1 to hit, or +1 to wound. I would like to see use Rabute Gilliman. He has this reroll everything bubble, make it a +1 to hit and wound bubble. Because Devastators hitting on 2s and wounding on 2s, because they were against the tank, versus hit on 3s with a reroll, wound on 3 with a reroll, it's pretty much the same math.
Saves a lot of time.
Saves tons of time over the course of a game. I would like to see that. Like, because I think that we're still living in kind of both the 7th edition world still with some of their ideas, but we have the first new edition of 40K in 7 editions. So I think that just make it official. Like, it's okay that captains let you reroll ones. That's pretty cool. But like, because there's only 1 in 6 dice are a 1 versus like reroll all miss hits. But like Baller Serious Call, right? He is like the reroll everything's bubble. Just make it +1 to hit bubble. It's mathematically very similar and half as much rolling.
Yeah, I can get behind it. I mean, that's part of it. And I mean, like, we've hit this ridiculous amount of dice. Like, just to use as an example, the 30 termagants. That's 90 bolt pistol shots. That have minimal rerolls in it. And then for 2 command points, you get to shoot it again. 180 strength 4 shots. Like, why do we need to have a unit that shoots that much? So, I mean, if we're going to have it with rerolls, I mean, I can see why, if you aren't playing games like Kenny, how you do and how I do, you're not going to get through 3 turns. And I have to admit, I wasn't there, but I heard a lot of internet chatter with some pretty big name guys not getting out of turn 2, not getting out of turn 3.
Yeah, and that's where I heard the argument a few times, because obviously I'm in the mix with a lot of those guys. I heard one argument from Nick Rose, one of our good friends. He was like, I think it was him, or maybe it was Mr. The Taste. And they said, well, when you have a lot of guys who are equally paired, skill-wise, that's what happens. When there's a gap between the skill, they think in their opinion it goes faster. And I was like, that makes sense, because when you're both on the same level, maybe your moves are more meticulous. I was like, look, man, I played a lot of good guys this weekend, and I think there's just a social element of the game that people are just taking too seriously right now. That, where I will involve my opponent. But he's like, obviously he won't be as meticulous about moving my models as I am, but I'm not going to be meticulous about pushing 200 models, because if I am, I know we're only playing 2 turns. So in a sense, I am I'm not slow playing. What I would be doing is I would be not proactively playing fast.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a subtle difference and a nuanced difference. That was my opinion versus their opinion. So I was like, that's what I think is really going on here. It's just there's no incentive. Just like everything in this world needs to be incentivized. There's no incentive to speed it up and include your opponent.
Hands down, you don't get out of, if your scores are put in and you don't get through turn 4, you're DQ'd.
You remember that was the boys. They weren't DQ'd, but you both got zeros.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm sorry. I didn't mean DQs. Yeah, zeros.
So like that was one of the best scoring systems I've ever seen. If you don't get to turn 4, you both get a 0.
Hey, come to find out, nobody can be as meticulous in the first little bit, moving each one of their models exactly. Like, I'm not saying play sloppy by any means, but if you move your front row of your 30 orcs, the venerable, the legendary Mark Parker, I know Marcus Parkus. Literally, I've seen that man move 120 orc boys in a few seconds, just because you get tight and get in there with your first row of boys, right? Literally, we've done videos about it, moving mass number of models. You get your first row up and then literally mimic the exact same thing that you have. I mean,
there's a lot of tricks to being proactive. I witnessed a lot of these games, and I don't think anyone was slow playing anyone. That's not what I witnessed. What I witnessed was a complete lack of getting each other engaged.
Sure.
That's what I witnessed, So I wasn't in those games, but I saw a lot of them. But overall, not to take anything away, the event, this was the single most baller 8th edition, like competitive, felt good about it. People brought painted armies, like it looked good. I think only one guy had an unpainted army in the whole room that had to be like, yo, sorry, bro, you don't get to play your game.
Wow.
So that was because they enforced it,
Savage.
I'm jealous. You got back to the crib and we touched base and talked about it. And I'm jealous. That's all I can say. I wish I was there one day.
One day you'll be out there. But solid. I totally encourage anyone to come out and check it out next year. Then I guess the next big event will be Adepticon in March, like March 22nd or something like that is when it starts, I believe.
Yeah, that weekend.
Yep.
I think it's 20 to 24.
The Long War doubles at Adepticon, 160 people. We do have the mission packet up on adepticon.org, and the resource material for the event. We'll be posting it on Spikey Bits. We'll be doing a follow-up video on breaking down the missions. These missions have gone through multiple primers. They were written by Mike Haspil, play tested by all of you guys and Juice and I. And we got, I think, the final draft notes in and tweaked it and got it all uploaded like yesterday, right, Haspil?
Yeah, that is correct.
Yep. Everything's been submitted and it's all posted now.
Yeah, solid missions. My favorite mission is the lava. I think it's
The
now.
floor is lava.
Yeah, the floor is lava. That's my favorite one too.
I like it. I'm partial to the bomb, I think.
Makes sense. You would like the bomb. If we don't have anything, we can go into this commercial break, and then we have an interview from Nick Nanavati. We haven't talked about him yet. He is the Las Vegas Open 2018 tournament champion. He's a ITC champion. He pulled that out going into the final game against Tony Crapondo, who would have been the champion if he did not lose Nick Nanavati. True. If you follow the Pro Tour and you follow everything, that was an amazing game. Very intense. There's obviously some drama and some controversy surrounding what happened in the top bracket, which will all be explained in this interview. I got an exclusive interview with my man Nick earlier this week, right after the event. And I'll hit you guys with this before the commercial break. Nick Nanavati, he's the winner. Obviously, Yanari, Eldar. Tony Crapondo, second place, Yanari, Eldar. Brad Chester with Chaos. Alex Fennell with Imperium. Mike Brandt with Blood Angels, and I think it was Blood Angels and Guard. Mark Wright, Blood Angels. Sean Naden, Yanari. Jeff Poole, Alatak, Eldar. So pretty interesting top 8, right, guys?
A lot of Eldars.
But also a lot of not Chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Only one Chaos. So that was the big thing. My man Gareth Hunt for 3 years in a row, 9th place, just missing the top 8. What
a G2 doesn't play in as many events as he used to, and still just comes out and does his thug thizzle. Yep.
Some big names on the list as you scroll down. Nick Rose, one of my favorite people, he got 12th. Scrolling down, Marcus Parkus, 21st place. The venerable Mark Parker. I'm sitting at 25th.
You knew Marcus Parkus?
I didn't say I knew him. That he touched me.
Oh yeah,
I knew the man. I only said he tapped me on the shoulder once.
And but yeah, you see a lot of top people.
Where Marcus Parkus touched you.
You're gonna have to get a bigger miniature, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot. I mean, it was great. And so we'll do this commercial break. We'll talk to Nick Nanavati, and then we'll come right back. Veterans, I've got news for you. Get your best deals online at dicehead.com. Long War Vets, call or email for your best vet deals. That's dicehead.com.
Dear veterans, quickly, make your way to thelongwar.net and find out how to reap your hard-earned spoils of this long war. For our allies at secretweaponsminiatures.com have rewarded us all with an extra 10% discount on all Secret Weapon Miniatures merchandise. So stock up, dear veterans, and enjoy.
elrixhobbies.com is your exclusive portal to upgrading your hobby. When you sign up at thelongwar.net, you gain an instant promotional discount good for 10% off at Elrix Hobbies. elrixhobbies.com. All right, guys, Kenny Boucher here, joined by the champ, Nick Nanavati. Now, hey, Nick Brown, I guess. What's going on with that?
I don't know. I just flowing with it, you know. People call me Nick Brown. People call me Nick Nanavati. A lot of people don't know my last name because on Facebook I'm Nick Brown, so people just call me that now. So whatever. All right. So we obviously are doing an interview with the current reigning
LVO 2018 champ. How does it feel, first off? How does it feel to be the champion of the biggest singles event?
Honestly, it feels great. It feels amazing. Like, I remember after I just won the tournament, like after I, shook Tony's hand, walked away ITC champ, LVO champ, like I felt like I was high for like 20 minutes. I literally couldn't believe it.
And you're a name that we talk about a lot because this isn't your first time winning winning big.
Definitely not.
What are you, like 5 times in a row Adepticon champion or something?
Only four.
But you've won Adepticon through 3 editions. I believe
6, 7. No, I haven't won an 8. So just 6 and 7.
You won a 5th because you had them Grey Knights and Necrons once, didn't you?
Necrons were a 6th, I think, because he was my allies.
Oh, that was a 6-sided codex. Oh man, it's gonna. When you think you're gonna win 8th edition Adepticon?
I just won this.
Well, are you going to Adepticon?
Yes.
So when you win Adepticon 2018, then it's 3 editions.
Then it'll be 3 straight editions.
Thus, basically solidifying you as the greatest 40K champion we've had ever, I think.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
It's hard. It's like, it's easy to say like, oh, in America, but like, yo, where in Europe are they doing 500 man?
Yeah, even Europe's done that,
Like, so it's the world. But I'm gonna ask you some questions because right now everyone's got to be super curious right now. So tell me, Nick, what's the army? Everyone's dying to know what you want to deal with.
I use some cheesy ass Eldar.
So Alatok?
It's a mix of Eliotok and Yunari.
Seems good. Now run us through the list, what you had in the list and why.
Sure. So I had 2 battalions and a spearhead. One of the battalions was Eliotok and one of the battalions was Yunari. So I'm just going to combine the Eliotok parts. And it was 2 Farseers, a Spirit Seer, and a random Warlock. I had 3 units of 5 Rangers, 3 Reapers, each with the Tempest Launcher, and 2 Wave Serpents. So nothing crazy there. Reapers with Tempest Launchers are good. 3-man squads max.
Yeah, I'll say
Tempest Launchers you can get.
Yeah, 3-man squads, right? Of course, right.
Yeah. And then, Rangers are just like the best troop I'll have access to for basic stuff. The one Warlock I had was because I wanted to use the Seer Council stratagem for +1 to cast. A lot of times I had, like you want to get Fortune off, you want to get Guide off, you want to get Protect off, so why not just give all 3 a +1, just, help yourself out.
What did you have for
a lot of people I see?
Was there? You said there was a Yunari element. Did we go over that?
Yeah. Sorry, gotta get to that. So there's a cat lady in there. She's my warlord. She has to be to unlock Soul Burst. I had 1 Bealtan Spirit Seer in there. That guy was Bealtan and not Eliotok because I would spend a command point before the game starts to buy him Spirit Stones. That's reroll to cast. So I'd give that to my Quicken guy because you definitely don't ever want to fail Quicken. That spell's so fucking good. Then we had an Autarch, Melt-A-Gun, Laser Lance, Banshee Mask on a bike. That guy's like just a solo ass kicker. He runs around. Sometimes I quicken him, sometimes I protect him, sometimes I fortune him. He just runs around beating up small squads, putting random 8 wounds on a tank, just doing stuff. Had a big unit of Guardians, like 16 Guardians with a Shuriken Cannon. Deep strike those every game. They solve problems. Sometimes I use them super aggressively. Sometimes they just chill. Very flexible unit there.
Oh, yeah.
2 units of warriors, just units and troops. This was my MVP squad every single game, like all 9 in a row. 9 Shining Spears, just so good. You protect those. They go to 2 up, 3 up. You fortune them, so 2 wounds of fortune. That's a bitch to get through. Quicken, Soul Burst, the Sandhand trait, shoot twice, fight twice. They're just unbelievable. And then I had a unit of 8 Reapers, and then that was just like a nice turn 1. You Soul Burst, you guide them, you Soul Burst them, and then they just shoot twice and blow up some tanks.
And that's also the unit that you intercept like a deep striker.
Yeah,
with.
Exactly. You intercept deep strike with that. Sometimes I would fire and fade with that because a lot of the ruins at LVO had solid walls on the first floor. So I'd walk out of the ruin, shoot something, and fire and fade right back behind the wall.
Oh yeah, I would say one of the biggest treats at LVO was the terrain was very 4th edition reminiscent, like where you actually could think about where you're going to place your models and how to use terrain later in the turns.
Yeah, absolutely. Terrain was a huge impact in a lot of games.
I found myself for the first time in a long time, all right, I got to move my models out. I'm going to get shot at. Just got to make some saves. Then wait, hold on. I can hide behind that wall. Let's do that.
Absolutely.
Like that was game. So in your opinion, I mean, obviously, that's a nasty Eldar list. I saw a lot of Eldar. I predicted about half the top 8 would be Eldar.
Yeah.
Because we've been learning from some of the top guys like yourself how good they are.
Yeah. They're definitely a hard army to use, but they're by far and away the best army, in my opinion.
You would say that they're good, but they're advanced.
Yeah, they're advanced for sure.
A lot of things to track, a lot of procedural things to be engaged in.
A lot of procedural stuff, and a lot of mistakes that can, because your army is actually really fragile. So, like, if you just screw up some positioning, you're just going to get rolled.
That makes sense. So, do you feel that going into the future with like because GW sort of showed that they're not interested in FAQing armies that are popular. They're interested in FAQing armies that are repeating themselves in similar like units over and over again. Do you have any fear whatsoever that GW is going to come in there and manipulate any of the rules that you're used to right now?
Yeah, I really hope they do, honestly. This army probably shouldn't exist. It's way too strong. Soul Burst, I know they nerfed it. They nerfed it a ton, but let me put this into perspective for you. So, like, a normal army spends 2 command points to shoot again with a unit, or like 3 command points to fight again for a unit. I do that every single turn. So basically, every time I shoot the Reaper Squad twice, shoot the Guardians twice, fight the Spears twice, every time I do that, I'm using like 2 to 5 command points that I just don't have. So my army has 10, but really it has 25. How is that fair?
Good point.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Reapers? What do you think about the Tempestus launcher? What do you think? Hitting on 3s?
I think they're definitely too strong as they are, but I think they're really... The internet's not hitting the nail on the head. Reapers are not the problem. They're definitely good. They can stand the points increase. I think a damage reduction on their weapon might be a little too strong.
Yeah, what do you predict if they fuck with?
I don't know what GW will do. You can't predict those guys, but I will say, like, in my opinion, like going from 27 to like 32, 33, that would be like a good place to put them at. Or like maybe make the Tempest launcher a little more expensive than 5 points, so it's basically free compared to just a normal Reaper.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the Reapers are really the issue to the Eldar army. I think it's much more holistic than that, and the army just is too good as a whole. If I had to pick one thing that needs to get fixed besides Soul Burst, that is just too strong. Quicken should just not affect bikes.
Now, break down Quicken for our audience, because we got all sorts of people out here hearing about Eldar for the first time.
Yeah, Quicken's it's a spell. It's range 18. It goes up on a 7. So range 18 means you can cast it pretty much without worry about being denied at all, because you can keep your Psyker nice, safe, and in the back. And it goes off on a 7, which, it's like kind of 50-50 to fail. It's like 58% pass, 42% fail. But Eldar have rerolls. Eldar have +1s. Like, it's so hard to actually fail powers. And especially there's command points involved too. And one time this entire tournament out of 9 games, happened to be the finals actually, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, that's the fact that you can move a unit of Shining, you can deep strike a unit of Shining Spears, then move them 22 inches. You can like put them in the middle of the other guy's army. Like, one of the classic moves I would do every single game is I would deep strike them turn 1 or 2, quicken them 22 inches. They can still act normally because they're same hand, so I expend a command point so they can shoot because their all weapons are all assault, and they can charge because it says so. Behind their lines, and just target all of their characters. All their support characters, would just die instantly. And I would fight twice or shoot twice, whatever I needed to do, and just make sure I gutted all the important parts of their army turn 1.
That's really hard to come back from. As a matter of fact, my only loss at LVO was to an Alatok style Eldar. Not as optimized as yours, as my man Jeff Poole. He made top 8. I think you got.
Oh yeah, I played Jeff Poole in the top 8 actually.
I think you eliminated him round 1 in the top 8.
Yeah. I did the exact same move to Jeff. Turn 1, I brought the spears and just killed all his characters.
Yep. It would have been a lot easier for me if I could do that to him. But I didn't have that ability. Now, I saw firsthand how strong that Eldar was. He wasn't using a lot of your tricks. That's why I asked about the Reapers, because the thing that hurt me the most was having a single infantry model, like a little ass dude, say I'm going to shoot cultists while the rest of the guys shoot a tank, right? And then say one guy killed 10 guys. One guy kills 10 guys, and then the third guy kills another. It's like, you have 3 separate...
Yeah,
and they also don't need a line of sight, which is a big deal,
Yeah, that saved me so many times, not needing line of sight with Tempest launchers. I was playing round 5. He had this giant unit of Death Company that was hiding in like a like completely blocked off line of sight building, so my spears couldn't get in because it's solid walls everywhere. I couldn't see him with anything, so I just doomed the unit, jinxed the unit, and revealed the unit. So up saves from Reaper launchers, and they're doomed. And I just threw 3 Tempest launchers at him, and I killed the whole squad, even though nothing else in my army could hurt them.
That's the straight brutality, man. Like, so Eldar looking strong. What do you think with, Soul Burst and everything? Do you think Soul Burst innately is OP, or because how they can lend it to the rest of the stuff? Do you see like a demon style FAQ coming in there, or do you see more of like, just get rid of it?
Demon style FAQ is probably what GW would do, because I think it's a concept for some reason they want to have in the game just because it's existed for so long. That's like the trend I'm seeing. I don't think it should exist. I just don't think it has a purpose existing in the game. It's like I said just before, every soul burst is 2 to 3 command points. You can soul burst 4 times a turn. That's just not sustainable for any other army.
That's true. Every other army has to manage resource to do that, and you don't.
Places command points for me. That I still also have command points.
Yeah, you still actually have command points. You said you had 2 vanguards and 1 battalion.
2 battalions and an outrider. I had 10.
And an outrider. So yeah, you had 10 command points still, and you're basically 25 based on the normal course of the game, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Seems good, yeah.
Of all your games, all billion of the games you played this weekend or last weekend, what was the hardest matchup for you, if any? Was it just other Eldar?
The hardest matches were Eldar mirrors. I knew that going into it. I was like, people, my friends, my buddies who I'd been playtesting with and talking to List about, they're like, Nick, what are you afraid of? I was like, I had to say something, it'd be just a mirror, but really nothing. I mean, there were people there who could have beaten me for sure. I'm not trying to say it was actually unbeatable, but it was like nothing felt favored against me. Like I was the favored person in every single game. I felt like
they would need some luck. They would need a lot of things to go their way.
I would have to screw up, or they would have to roll lucky to solve a problem. Like something bad would happen. Every game I would have won because my army is just better than yours.
Yep. And so you're like, if I don't make a mistake, I just do what I'm supposed to do. I'm winning. So you have to get lucky, and I have to mess up simultaneously, and has to be the perfect deployment map, and the perfect this, and the perfect that. So those
if you and I played each other and we both played perfect games and rolled perfectly average, you would have no chance just because my army's that much better.
That's a big part of Warhammer 40K. We're playing a game inside of a game inside of a game half the time. How many minutes do you spend a week in the beats lab of your mind, fucking with list tweaks?
It's kind of always on in the back of my mind. I'm just chilling and it'll be on back thinking if I have to concentrate on something, if I'm out with a girl, obviously just thinking about Warhammer, but in the shower, on the toilet, just it's there.
So the vast majority of your time is playing the list building minigame.
And not even necessarily list building, but at least how do I use my stuff to get me out of this theoretical situation I just thought of? How do you redeploy in an Eldar mirror? What should I do here? What do you do against a cultist blob infiltrating against you turn 1?
What do you
think about those kinds of situations, and I'll try to think of ways out of it.
That's really smart. It's a great piece of advice for the audience. What do you think? Based on that, spending so much time thinking about matchups, trying to get yourself out of situations before they arise. Would you say now? This is our opinion. Would you say, knowing that so much of your time happens before the game, so much of your time happens while you're building models, you're painting models, you're thinking about how to win, how much time do you actually spend playing versus all of that? Percentage wise?
Question, probably 25%, 33%, I'd say.
So you actually play more than you even do all those combined.
No, sorry, other way around. I play 25% and other stuff 75%. Yeah.
All right. So I was like, whoa, you're the first guy. So that
no way, no one's ever said that. Yeah.
So and that's always been our our whole belief structure of bringing hobby back is we're saying that most of our time is all this other stuff. So we like to reward both elements of we like to reward the winners, the generals. We like to reward the people who found the middle ground, people who only found one side of it. We like that whole spectrum with our events. How do you feel as an honest opinion of the current state of match play at the highest level, like the NFL, AK, ITC, win-loss, brackets, especially with a game system that takes, 3 hours around, but we only play 2.5 hours around, and you only get to play the guy once in their bracket, then you move on. There's never a series. There's never anything that changes luck. How do you feel about that versus potentially a hobby format?
I think it's definitely as competitive as it's ever been. The biggest following, we have the biggest turnouts for tournaments, a lot more interest, and all that is definitely there. I don't think it's really that competitive because, like you said, you play a 9-round tournament, you take one loss to something stupid, you're just out. You could have won the whole thing had that not happened. Like, that's like a dice roll. That's way too much variability to hold on something so relevant. But there's not an easy solution to that either. It's just you have to work at it. And, chess clocks might start becoming a thing to help the time problems that we were having. If there's an option, maybe an extra round to account for that loss, the bracket system. There's so many different ways to think about it, but that's kind of just the evolution of the competitive scene. And I personally stand by the fact that I think that there should be a separation of awards and an overall award, kind of like what we have now. Because, like, if you're a guy like me, like, I'm mostly interested in just playing competitively. That doesn't mean I don't care about pain, I don't care about sportsmanship, whatever. I'm one of the most sporting guys you'll ever meet, actually. But, like, I'm interested in competitive, so I can play that. Likewise, if you're a Golden Demon player or painter, you've been painting your army for a year and a half, every single model's converted, has like 27 levels of highlighting. You don't have time to adjust your list every time the meta changes. So you're just going to play with what you got, do what you can, go 3-3, whatever. But, you're playing the game you want to play, which happens to be hobbying and painting. And I'm playing the game I want to play, which is being competitive and winning. But it's just all how you enjoy the hobby.
I like that,
and then
because
you can see a guy like Sean Naden.
Yeah. Oh, Sean Naden.
You could see a guy like Sean Naden. He won best overall at LVO. That's amazing. Like, he's super hyper competitive, and he painted his army really well. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you want to do both and you have the time, go for it.
That's a guy who I talk about a lot about, who's come a long way in a short amount of time to embrace all the elements. He is the Renaissance man right now.
Yeah,
he actually is. Like, he is the one of the most winningest dudes out there, and now has a fresh looking army. He's taken super seriously. He's pro. So I do like to see it, and I do agree with you. I think that space exists for both formats. I myself love to play both formats. I endorse a hobby format. We run a hobby format at Adepticon, the Long War Doubles. We just ran one here in Southern California that Sean Naden really wanted to come to, but he was like, there's no way I can come to this. I have to sleep on your couch for 3 days and then go to LVO. Mm-hmm. But my roots are competitive play. And so I will always go somewhere like LVO and try to win, try to be in that meta. Yeah, so I agree with you.
This hobby it's so wonderful because there's so many different avenues you can take and so many different ways you can enjoy. If you just want to play competitively and that's all you're interested in, you might as well go play chess. I don't know. And if you want to just paint, then why don't you just join a paint class or something, or like become a painter instead of painting models and playing game. It's cool because it's so diverse. There's so many different ways to enjoy it.
And I would say that we all have a lot more in common than we think we do. I don't think this community needs to be as divided as it's been for years. I think that the height
community is so bad. Like, let's all just, we all enjoy the same game. Let's bond over that instead of how we're different,
To quote my good friend Mike Haspil, the legendary author of Graveyard Shift, he has said, there's something wrong because when you walk into like a grocery store and you meet somebody like, my man Nick Nanavati here, and you're like, hey man, nice to meet you. I've never met you before. What do you like to do? And you're like, I play 40K. I play 40K. Did we just become best friends? That should be every conversation. Regardless of like, oh, I like to paint more, but no, we should be best friends. There's not enough of us to be divided.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's insanity. And so like, I do endorse that. I do like to see that moving forward in the future. So let me ask you, let's get to the subject now. I think everyone's gotten to know you. You're not a guy who is immune to controversy in your 40K career, similar to myself. And so there was a controversy at Las Vegas Open. There was something interesting that happened, and there's been a lot of posts about it online. There's been a lot of videos. There's been a famous clip of you, I believe, titled "Tony Getting Tony'd." I've seen on Twitch. So
got almost 10,000 views, and it happened yesterday.
Yeah, and that's kind of intense for our community. It's kind of we're not PewDiePie, bro. Like, we're, what I'm saying? Like, this is a different community. So that was intense. And so walk us through it. Let us know who was all involved, because I know my man Alex Fennell, who's another OGer legend in this community, was involved. So walk us through it, give us your perspective, give you an opportunity to tell us from your perspective how everything went down so we can get this out there.
So it actually started, from my understanding, in the first round top 8 of LVO, and I wasn't a witness to this, and so I don't want to feed you too much misinformation, but I did hear from Sean, who was directly involved. So what that was Tony played Sean, first round of top 8, and Tony and Sean agreed to use a chess clock. Specified what that meant. They didn't really say, once you run out of time, you lose. Once you run out of time, you can't move your models anymore. They just say, we're playing with a chess clock. So they take their turns and stuff, whatever. Sean is intentionally not shooting his units that are like irrelevant. Like he's not shooting his Dark Eldar warriors. He's skipping steps in his own play at his own detriment to speed his own gameplay up. And he's killing Tony on time, but getting just killed in the game. Like from my understanding, Tony was up like 5 to 10 game points or like battle points, but Sean was up like half an hour. Like Tony was down to like 4 or 5 minutes left on his clock. So the game's winding to an end and Tony's out of time on his clock. And Sean's down in points, Tony's up in points. So Sean's like, okay, well, you can't move your models anymore. And Tony's like, well, the clock was just it was to keep track of how much time we're using so we're aware so we can try to be quick about it. Not to like hard dice down or anything. All the judges essentially like, we don't use chess clocks at LVO, whatever you and your opponent agreed to, that's what you play, blah, blah, blah. So he ended up choosing not to run out of time, even though he ran out of time, and just continued on beating Sean because whatever. So there's some controversy there about how that was handled, but I don't want to go into that any further. In the next game, he's playing Alex Fennel in the semifinals. And this game, this was, I'll just go into it. So they don't want any issues with time after seeing what just happened. So they both agreed to play an intent-based game where it's like, if those guys can be there, you don't actually just set them up 100% properly. You put them there. We know they're there. Just make it clear what you're doing kind of thing. It's very common on competitive 40K because you don't have time to waste on nuances that each player knows they can do and each player knows how it works. Just talk about it, all intent. So they're doing that. They're playing their game. And it took an hour for his first turn. I don't know if that's true. I can't corroborate that. But if he did, that's a long-ass time. So Alex taking his turn. He's deep striking his Blood Angel captains and stuff. And before he moved all his thousands of Thunderwolves and whatever his army was. And Tony goes, you deep struck your guys. You can't move your Thunderwolves. And Alex is like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, dude, it's end of the movement phase, and you're indicated by placing those models that you're ending your movement phase. Now, obviously, Alex intended to move his army because who doesn't want to move their army? But Tony held into the rules, and the bottom line there is it's controversial because Tony may have taken a lot of time, which caused Alex to speed up. Tony and Alex agreed to play an intent game, but the bottom line is Tony is correct technically. Like he is allowed to say, Alex, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, Alex made a
we still have to play by the rules.
By the rules as written, you did something out of sequence. You made a procedural error, and I'm going to exploit that to rob you of your movement phase, even though we agreed to not do that.
Right. So Alex handled it like a gentleman, as he usually does, and kind of shook Tony's hand, made the best of it, and that was that. So I played Tony in the final round of the LVO, and I have no problem with him as a guy. He's a good guy. He's a friend of mine, honestly. I would hang out with him on the weekend, like if we lived near each other. So we're playing each other, and we didn't have any discussion of any of this. We didn't talk about chess clocks. We didn't talk about intent. We're just playing 40K. So we're playing, blah, blah, blah. Since charge, my game plan got a little messed up, and now Tony's trying to exploit that and take some advantage, as he should. So he's bringing his spears in. I know what he's doing. He knows what I'm doing. We're playing nearly identical lists. Boost them 22 inches, just like I talked about earlier. He's about to go to town on my characters, and I'm like, shit, this is gonna suck. So he goes through his turn, he shoots his stuff, he goes to charge, and as he's like assault phase, and as he's thinking about who he wants to charge, who he wants to take Overwatch, which models go where, I just let him know. I'm like, hey Tony, what? And I was like, you advanced your unit, you didn't use a stratagem. I hate winning like this, and I really do hate winning like this. I would never do this to someone under normal circumstances, even on top tables of LVO, even playing for $4,000. This is not me. But I was like, you just did it to Alex, and I
So you caught him slipping on a procedural thing. He was moving
exactly the same thing.
So he was moving some stuff around, quickly. He advanced this unit, and the stratagem needs to be played in the advance.
The stratagem says when you advance it, use a strat. He just didn't use the strat. We both know he wanted to. We both know he intended to, but he didn't. That was that. So technically correct against Alex. I was technically correct against Tony, and I got him. That was the controversy.
And I believe you even said, because most of these were on live stream VOD. I believe you even said
this whole thing is on
Frontline Gaming, I think, right on their Twitch.
Oh, it might be on theirs too. I haven't checked.
Yeah, maybe, or was it on Warhammer TV?
I hope it's there also.
That would be amazing. and so essentially, you even said, "Hey, man, like this is for Alex." Basically, is like a line I heard say.
It's like I wouldn't do this, but it's like you did it to Alex, so you asked for it. And I even told them, I was like, you would have done the same thing to me had situations been reversed.
I actually have video evidence you would have done the same thing to me.
On stream, Tony was like, I would have.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing that made me chuckle was like, he's like, well, it's a different situation, is what he said.
Yeah, that was like not even a little.
Like, I was reading the comments and chat, and people were like, wrecked, hashtag wrecked, and I was like, oh,
some of those pictures.
So it was pretty intense. So it was definitely a controversial situation, but like, I think a lot of people are out there respecting you for it.
Yeah, I felt like I was that guy. I felt like I was the dick after I did that to Tony. And, I played my game, I won my game, because that's kind of a back-breaking move to not be able to charge with your spears. So then I beat him, and then, I had won the LVO finals, I'd won ITC, felt great, whatever. And I walk out, and everyone's like separated in top 8. We have like our own private room, basically, to play in. So I walk back out to the public, and everyone's jumping up and down and congratulating me and calling me how I'm like the 40K hero. And they're like so proud of how I handled that and everything. I'm like, guys, I was like a dick in that situation. And they're like, no, the way you handled it and the way that you avenged Alex, like the Avenger of Fennel, that kind of thing. Like, it was just an awesome feeling, honestly.
And I would say, give me a second here. So like, what I would say is, so like what goes around comes around. That's a natural law. Right. That is a force of nature. And so that's the way I look at it. Now, I will say that it's one of the unfortunate truths of competitive play is that I play a lot of competitive play. Like the intent style of play is a thing. When you have 2.5 hours and 2,000 and there's 4,000 points of models on the table, and a lot of people's armies are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There has to be essentially, like when you play competitive 40K in a tournament like ITC, you're basically playing a different version of the game than you're playing at your house. And so to anyone who's like, oh, that sounds pretty gangster, I don't know if I want to get involved in that. Trust me, you do. Going to events is the pinnacle. It's what you should achieve too, because I promise you it's going to be the most fun. Going to these events, hanging out with friends, socializing. It's one of the things about our hobby that's so unique compared to like video games is there's a face-to-face socialization. Yeah. We share in a common interest. We get to hang out, drink, have all this fun. It's the best. I promise you. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not without its flaws. And this is a current flaw we've been dealing with for a while is that taking it too serious mentality. We touched on it earlier, we're playing in a bracket win-loss tournament with no series, and most other things that use a bracket, basketball, baseball, football, there's a series, right? We're not doing that. So sometimes things are being taken too seriously. And I've played you many times. We've played together before, and I personally have never had a bad game against you. We have played with intent. We have said, oh shit, I forgot to cast this. Yeah. Oh, I forgot Fate Weaver's reroll this turn. Can I use it? I'm like, yeah, of course. And then I'll say, oh shit, I forgot that I had this Feel No Pain. You're like, yeah, make 5 Feel No Pains,
Yeah. Let me just go into that really quick though. So like you were saying with competitive 40K, there's 4,000 points of models on the table. There's a lot of rules to remember. There's a time constraint that's really getting more and more imminent and more pressing. So like I said before, there's a gentleman's agreement, to play with intent. And, if you make that agreement, it's like a social contract. You should hold each other to that standard. So like, if you want to do take back season, I forgot my Feel No Pains. I moved my guy before I was supposed to, cast a power when I wasn't supposed to, just fix it, let it roll. And that goes both ways. And it makes the flow of the game a lot better. It makes everyone's experience more enjoyable, as long as the intent is clear. Now, the reason it's such a thing, especially which a lot of people who don't play Warhammer might not understand, is like, yes, Tony held everyone to the rules that they're supposed to follow. The those rules are a lot more lax because it's just easier and better if everyone laxes up on the tightness of those. So when you do that and you break the social contract and you hold someone accountable for messing up the nuances of timing, then you're technically right, but you're asking for a shitstorm.
In competitive play, because the clock. That's
the clock. It's like I don't even know where to start with it, but yeah.
Well, that's why it's a different game. Like when I'm at my Beats Lab, playing my own game, oftentimes if I'm just not looking at the clock and we're playing the game with every nuance of movement, every time I move a cultist, it's got to be designed to screen or box something out, and every movement has to be perfect. I'm going to individually move 120 cultists. We play a 6-hour game sometimes.
Or it's like, I don't know, I was going with that.
So in the Beats Lab, if you're going to play in a tournament, you probably want to play with a timer.
Yeah, for sure.
That's actually what Ben was talking about, that because he brought orcs this year. The legendary Captain America, and he's like, I played all these. I did all my play tests and I did really well with them, but then I forgot about the clock.
Yeah. That was a huge issue in my game with Chester in the semifinals. So we were playing, and I got off to a pretty good start. I had Turf's turn. I dick punched him pretty hard, and then he dick punched me back, and we were like going back and forth. It was like Hail Mary attempt to win the game. He was using his spears. It's a common theme. To go, manhandle my army. As he was doing that, Reese walks up to us. Reese is the TO. And he's like, guys, you're down to seconds, right? Like, that's literally what he said. And we were like, no, we never had any time warnings or anything. We had no idea how much time was left. And it's like turn 4. And he's just like, yeah, so just like finish it up, whatever you're doing, and then that's a game. And Chester just extends his hand and shakes mine. And it's like, we both knew I won, but it was such a tainted victory because Chester didn't even get to finish his turn or see what would happen, see if he was going to win on his Hail Mary attempt. It was just like, he can't beat me the next few seconds, so it's not going to happen. I have really good friends. I've known him for years. He goes to Europe with me every year for ETC. We play together at all these events. We talk about lists and talk shop all the time. And to rob him a victory like that felt so bad. Like that's not how I wanted to win. Like obviously I took it. I didn't just concede. I was literally winning. It's not like he would have necessarily beaten me.
No, there was still, a tournament game a lot of times is like, can I win this game on turn 1, turn 2? Can I win this game on turn 3? Can I win this game on turn 4? Like you have, that's the issues with the clock. And they did on day 1 let us play through lunch if we both agreed.
Yeah, right.
But after that, they were like, it's a hard dice down at this time. It's a hard, because they let us know. Yeah, mm-hmm. They let us know throughout the tournament, this is a hard dice down, man. You got, so when they would say things like this, players, there are 15 minutes left. You better start thinking about how to split that time up. And they would say hard dice down at 15, stuff like that. They let us know kind of later in the event. So those are things you have to be prepared for if you're going to go to LVO. LVO is the most competitive singles event there is.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something to be. That's why I don't want anyone to be scared of it. I think that you should be working up to it because it is a great time. It's even so much better than it was last year. I saw so many different diversities. Like obviously when you distill it down to the top 32 players in the country, they're going to have similar lists because they're all thinking the same. But I played 6 games versus 6 different armies. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's the diversity of this LVO. Even though the top 4 are the same list like 3 times. The diversity of this tournament was so high. It was amazing.
That's 4 people out of 500, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So, I mean, I think I played against...
Tony, Chester, and I all the same list. I swear to God. 2 weeks ago, we all went to Sean Nathan's house, and we had like a team practice kind of thing for ETC. And like I had been working on an Eldar army for a while. Chester had been working on a different Eldar army for a while. Sean had his Eldar army for a while, and Tony showed up with Chaos because he's the black sheep. And one of us was correct. We all took ideas. Like none of us even had shining spears going into that weekend. We just took ideas and bounced them back and forth, and we all came up with the armies together. And then that's how that evolved. We like collectively created an amazing army. It wasn't just like we all independently did it. Like that list was like a brainchild between like some of the best players in the country.
No, it makes sense. And that's why, that's absolutely, and so like, more to the, if you're more casual and you're still worried about it, don't worry. Like these guys are in their own category playing in the top 8 for their own tournament essentially. And, to figure out who the best is, like you can still go there, have a lot of fun. It's a Swiss pairing system. So if you lose a couple games, you're going to get paired against other guys who lost a couple games and you're going to have your own tournament experience. which is, why I can't wait for the future of Warhammer 40K. Now that GW's back, you see more hobby creeping in, but you still see the competitive play going further and further. Adepticon sold out, LVO sold out. I mean, like, all these events are selling out. We are at the height of popularity in the history of Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, the history of 40K.
Like,
speaking of which, I haven't bought my Decepticon ticket.
Yeah. There's a wait list, homie. You better get on that wait list.
Oh boy.
You messed up. But hey, man, it's a great talk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, do you have anything else you want to bring up before we get out of here?
No, I think that covers it, guys. Thank you for having me, Kenny. Appreciate it.
Nick, all day, every day, man. You're a great dude. Anyway, man, I'll hit you up next time after you're the winner of Adepticon. And we're back, guys. Great interview from a great dude. Is there anything else?
Yes, one big point before we get out of here. Big special early shout out birthday to my main man, Lance Hollingsworth. A G of all G's. His birthday is Friday. So drink one for me. Or I guess I should say I'm going to drink one for you. Is that what you have to do?
Yeah.
This one's for my own.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Well, I think that is about it for this one. We'll have lots more to say next week, so make sure you tune back in for episode 137. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it'll probably be poop. Haspil, take us out of here.
Citizens of Peace Trees, this is the law. Disperse immediately, or we will use lethal force. You have 20 seconds to comply.